Welcome to EnVision Center News, where we discuss community impact and involvement with today's nonprofit leaders and philanthropists.
Well, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for joining us. Excited to talk all things. This is a very fun, I feel like this is a very fun topic. Some of the nonprofits are dealing with very deep and dark issues, and this is a fun, bright spot. I'm excited to talk about the festival at Sandpoint. But first, can each of you introduce yourselves? Tell us about your role within the organization, what you do.
Absolutely. Darra, go ahead.
Well, my name's Darra, and I'm new to the organization. I've only been with the festival at Sandpoint about 2 months. I am the Development and Community Engagement Coordinator. So working on growing kind of our organization and kind of being out in public. You'll see me at lots of events and things like that to sort of get our mission out to the community of Sandpoint.
Okay.
My name's Paul Gunter, and I'm the Production and Education Manager with the festival. I've been on staff full-time for about 4 years, but I've had a long history with the festival. My first season as a summertime production crew member was in the 1999 Summer Concert Series.
Wow.
So I can officially say I started last century with the festival in the 1900s.
Yeah.
It was my first job. But I get to do all things production related for our summer concert series, for any other concerts we produce during the year, as well as all of our education programs. We have our free Festival Youth Orchestra program that I'm sure we'll talk about here shortly. All of our education outreach programs in pre-K schools through high school, and our scholarship program and interns.
Okay, yeah. And so you mentioned mission. If you guys could just explain what the mission of the festival is, and then maybe that will help sort of explain. People who don't know much might be like, the festival, it's just this event that happens once a year. Why is there all this staff, and how is it a nonprofit? So I think if you kind of explain your mission a little bit, that'll help clear that up.
Yeah, well, our mission is to be a catalyst for music, arts, and culture in our community. So basically that means we want to make music accessible to the community, whether that's instrument library, where you can come and check out an instrument for the school year or for the summer session. We do outreach programs with pre-K. We do scholarships for our higher level kids. The festival was started in 1983 to bring symphonic music to our area. That was kind of the main idea behind what started the festival. So we don't get to see a lot of symphonic classical music here in Sandpoint, so the founders decided they needed to bring that to our area. So that was kind of how it came to be, and then we've just grown since that, and our reach has kind of expanded.
Yeah. Talk more about kind of the educational programs, like you already mentioned, but just dig a little deeper.
We've always had an educational aspect to the organization, and it started with music education back in the day. Our music director, Gunter Schuler, world-renowned conductor and composer, and retired for some reason to the greater Spokane, North Idaho area, as a lot of people do. And he ran a camp up at Schweitzer Mountain for years, a conductor's school that then turned into a string program that then turned into a months-long thing each year that led up to the festival performances. And there were a few string performances up at Schweitzer and then down at Memorial Field, where we've always had our 2-week concert series. And over the years, that has morphed and changed and grown into multiple different things. Right now, our focus is mostly supporting existing education programs where we can, and then filling gaps where there's not something that's already happening for our community. We found out in 2021, I guess it would have been, that there was a big gap for pre-K music education. There weren't a lot of programs, and if there were, they were very sporadic. Nothing was full-time. And if you could bring something in, it was pretty cost prohibitive for a lot of schools. So we looked at starting some rhythm and percussion, movement and dance programs, and piloted those in the spring of 2021 to great acclaim in the community, and started offering some longer programs throughout the year. And now we operate at 3 schools full-time, weekly classes all school year long, and then we have 2 other schools where we do part-time programs.
And so when you say schools, you mean like public schools, not like the music conservatory or other
Correct.
music
This
schools?
program is specific to pre-K schools, so 3 to 6 year olds pretty much. So I get to go out a few times a week and teach music classes with little kids. We were building rain sticks yesterday. This morning we were playing, at Kinixu they were doing didgeridoos and drums.
Nice.
They were writing their own pieces, and then we were doing percussion and sticking patterns up at Selkirk School. And it's a blast.
Yeah.
It's the best part of my week every week, no matter what. Darra got to come with me last week, and
So fun.
yeah, it's really,
To
really
just
fun.
see the giggles and the smiles and the kids dancing when their little classmates are playing. It's really, really amazing.
Yeah, and so do you kind of raise most of your funding from the concert series, or do you have like a bunch of different fundraisers that you do, or you do a heavy grant lift, or how does that work?
We're kind of diversified into all of those.
Okay.
We do okay on our concert series. It costs us a lot to operate where we currently are, at Memorial Field, being on artificial turf, being a temporary venue. We bring everything in that we need, every extension cord, every zip tie, and then we have to take it all away when we're done. So there's very little there that's permanent for us to use, which makes things expensive every year. Labor costs a lot. That's one of our biggest challenges right now, is finding temporary labor in the summertime. And
Because
being a
you need
nonprofit.
security. Like, what are all those temporary labor positions?
Security positions, stagehand positions, production crew, where we do everything from laying down turf covering to building the stage to operating the venue for concerts, taking it all down and putting it away when we're done. All of that. We have over 300 unique volunteers on average each year that help us put on every other part of it, from front gate check-in to some of our venue ambassadors, green team that takes care of all of our trash and recycling, chair rental crew.
It's a lot.
There's a lot. There's a lot. And within all of that, a lot of these same people that are volunteers are some of our donors, where we get a lot for our education programs.
Okay.
That carries a lot of the weight, because we do well, but music costs more than it ever costs to hire bands, costs more to operate at our venue. So we do have a lot of donors throughout the year that help us carry a lot of our other programs. And so far, we've been able to keep all of our education programs free.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Which has been our goal, and through a lot of hard work through our staff and board and getting a lot of those donors, we've been able to pull that off so far. And so far, it's looking like we'll be able to do it for a while in the future. So.
Nice. So, I said at the top of the recording that, there's folks that come on here and they're dealing with dark and, very sad situations. They're helping battered women or feeding the hungry or whatever. And this is a more fun, nonprofit, though. I believe that actually it's very serious that we need children and adults to have access to music and to learn about music, and that actually when you don't have those programs, it like ripples through the community in a negative way. So, I'm already sold on the importance of music programs, performing arts, art in general, like big fan. But how do you kind of make the case we talk about at the EnVision Center all the time that we are very saturated in nonprofits here in this town and in this county. And so a lot of times we're all sort of competing in a way for like limited amount of dollars. How do you make the case that, this is important what we're doing? Like, it matters that we have the arts, the performing arts, music, etc.
I think a big part of what we have going for us still right now is a lot of people don't know about all of the other things that we do. They know about our 2-week concert series, and they don't know about what happens those other 50 weeks of the year.
Yeah.
And a lot of that's on us for not promoting it as well as we can over the years, or should have over the years. And coming out of COVID and all those years of being less, we technically had 0 staff members for over a year. And then in 2021, we put on the festival with 1.5 full-time staff members, and then temporary help for everything else.
Have you been the one consistent person the whole time since you were there?
I was still a private contractor through that stretch, but I've been one of the only people that's been through that whole stretch.
Yeah,
so
wow.
It's been a wild run in the last 5 years. The amount of changes we've gone through.
Did those education programs, any of them, what existed before COVID?
We had our youth orchestra program still, and we ran our scholarships. And we always have had some aspect in elementary education, where we're supporting a band program or bringing in our 5th grade orchestra like we used to do. So a lot of those already existed. And then post-COVID, band programs, all the arts programs, anything extracurricular took a big hit. And we're still seeing that ripple coming through the last levels of high school right now, where there's just a dip in all of the arts programs for overall attendees. So a big push coming out of COVID was to get kids back into music, get them started younger if we can. One of the biggest problems right now overall in the community is keeping kids in those elective classes when they jump from school to school. Most of the schools here, elementary schools, go through 6th grade. And the middle school starts in 7th grade, and they lose about half of the kids.
Gotcha.
That don't stay in band. That happens again from 8th to 9th grade, and then they slowly trickle out through high school. I was a band nerd. I knew I was going to be in band all year, every year when I was 6 years old, probably. So there's always going to be a few of those kids. But we've been working a lot with the music teachers in Lake Ponderay School District to figure out what other extra programs we can put together in the community to help keep some of those kids in music.
Yeah. And so we know kind of Paul's beginnings, and we know, Darra, that you're new in your role, but I'm assuming you had touch points with the festival long before that. So can you talk about what drew you to this position and why you applied or got recruited? Or
Absolutely. So I, like Paul, I went to school here in Sandpoint. I graduated in the 1900s, back last century. Went to, I think, my first festival concert in like 1995. I went to an inner circle reggae concert at the festival, so a good memory for me. Music's always been a huge part of my life. Community has always been a huge part of my life. I moved away for a time and came back, and so when I moved back home, I really wanted to become a part of the community again and sort of find how I could help, how I could strengthen the community. And I'm getting close to finishing a master's degree. And so I thought, how can I use that for good? And when this opportunity came up for development and community engagement coordinator, I thought, well, that's seems like a really good fit. And I have always had a place in my heart for nonprofit work. And I think that it's incredibly important. I think that, we're all put on this earth to do something good with ourselves, and how could I do something good? So this was just a great opportunity. I'm so excited to do it and to help spread the message that the festival is more than just a 2-week concert series, that we are making a positive impact in our town. And a lot of people, I think, don't realize all of the education programs that we do or the instrument library that we do. And my son, when he was in the 6th grade, played trombone in band. And I remember thinking, well, that's cool. I didn't get to play trombone. Like, that wasn't an option. And then when I was researching for my role, I realized that the reason he was able to play trombone is because the festival at Sandpoint donated trombones to the Lake Ponderay School District's band program. And so I just felt like, that was a really good thing and that more people needed to know that. So it feels good to come home and then to give back to my community. So, and the festival, what a fun place to work. And as far as nonprofits go, we are a little bit unique in that we aren't dealing with sort of those darker, kind of deeper things that a lot of people are struggling with. And so we do try to collaborate with those organizations. We have a really good ticket outreach program that we do for our grand finale concert. We give away tickets to nonprofits in the town. We try to find underserved families, people that are in need. We reach out to all of the schools in the district and see if they want to nominate a couple kiddos and their families so that they can come and experience music under the stars with the fireworks concert. So I'm really lucky to be able to be a part of that program and to help give back. So it's doing good in a fun way, trying to lighten some of those darker times for some people.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm a big proponent of the arts, and I always say that you can judge the health of a community by their art scene. And so, if you don't have a thriving art scene, I don't care what other stats you have going on that might be positive. There's something kind of broken about the town or the community in my opinion. And there's it's so sad when things like the arts get cut or pulled back or whatever for reasons, but people seem to always agree that like sports need to stay, you know, but like what about the kids and the people that aren't interested in those things? But music is their home, right?
Right. Music, pottery, the theater kids.
Right.
Yeah.
All
Where
that
do they
good stuff.
go?
Yes, where do they go? And like really what are the lifelong, you know, how many people are playing football even a year after they graduate from high school? But if you're a musician, you're probably playing for life or, you know, engaging.
We have a legacy kid, actually. Well, he's an adult now, but he started as a kid at the festival and went to a concert as a small guy and grew up in that musical world and got a scholarship and then went on to pursue music. And I think he comes back and gives back to the festival as a conductor.
Yeah.
Oh, our concert master. Yeah.
Concertmaster, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he is
Dr. Jason Moody.
Yeah,
he
he's
was our
a
first scholarship winner.
great example
Wow.
of someone that was impacted by the festival as a young child and followed that path as an adult, and he still comes back and is a part of the festival now as, you know, a leader and a mentor for these younger kids. It's really, really a cool trajectory to see, you know, that kind of come full circle.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And Darra, what do you see as kind of the new kid on the block? What are some changes that you maybe had in mind before you got on staff, or now that you're on staff and you're kind of seeing under the hood, you're like, ooh, this is where I want, this is my big idea, right? We always hate that new person, Paul, that comes in, right? They're like,
Fresh set of eyes goes a long way.
Let's do all these cool, fun
Yeah,
new things.
totally.
Well, I really would like to see the festival get its name out there in the community more for the nonprofit side. I mean, I know that we are a nonprofit organization overall, but I just feel like the message of all the good that we do is not there. So, like, we'll be at the farmers markets, and we're going to be out doing more kind of community fairs, like maybe the Dover Harvest Fair or the Winter Ridge Fair. Just kind of get out into those sort of places where the people are and just sharing about the good that we do.
Yeah.
Just so that people can see us, we're visible. I mean, growing up here, I never knew that the festival was a nonprofit. It just never occurred to me to dig that deep. And
Right.
so I think making that message less invisible, more out front in front of everyone, so that it's you when you think of community resource EnVision Center, you know right off the bat that they're a nonprofit, that they're doing good, that they're helping. And I think that maybe that's a little bit missing with the festival. And so, and I feel like a lot of people in town, everyone looks forward to the festival and to the concerts that come, but does everyone realize when they buy that ticket what their dollars are going towards?
Yeah.
And I think it's really important to get that out there so that everyone, you know, looks forward to going to the festival and feels that they are contributing to our youth in a good and positive way. I think that's really, really important to get out there.
Yeah, I was just actually literally talking to someone yesterday who is one of those people who I don't think knows all the things that you do. And I knew I had this interview coming up too. And I was like, I don't think you're right about that. But they were like, the festival is just this 2-week thing. Like, I don't understand why they have a big staff.
Podcast link in a couple weeks.
Like,
There's a little more going on.
Right. It almost feels like the name is a misnomer because it's almost like that should be a program under some other title, you know, that would, because people just hear festival
And
and
the
they
fact
think,
that it's a concert series and not a festival at all. But that's a whole other episode. That is, I could talk about that for hours.
Well, and I think it's really important to note that at least for the last 5 years, you know, the festival itself, the concert series itself is put on by 5 or 6 people. I mean, there's a lot of volunteers that are required to come and help and make it a smooth, really fun experience from everybody. But the work that's going on the other 11 and a half months of the year is being done by a really, really small group of dedicated and passionate people that truly care about our community and are working, 40 hours a week to make sure that those 2 weeks of the year that the public sees the festival, there's a lot more work that goes on behind the scenes to keep it running. And it's really remarkable that it's 5 or 6 people that have been carrying this load for so long. I mean, and I know that it's gone through a bunch of different changes and staff changes and things like that. But for me, when I started, I was like, wow, there's 6 of you. You guys, 6 of you are doing this? Like, holy cow, it's really incredible thing to see. All the hard work that goes in behind the scenes that, people just don't realize.
Is the festival, the actual 2 weeks, is that format pretty much locked in, or is there a desire to change or grow that or evolve that in any way? Or are we happy with the way that works, and it's more about expanding the programs around it?
At our current venue, we're pretty much locked in to a 2-week series. We lease from the city of Sandpoint. We lease Memorial Field and part of Lakeview Park. And so we can only get that for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
We have it for a full week before we start and almost a full week after we end. So it's a pretty big impact on the community there.
Yeah.
And also being like fully in a neighborhood. There's that whole impact of sound and parking and people in your neighborhood for 2 weeks. So our biggest challenge is just being locked into those 8 specific days, really 7. We know we're going to have our orchestra for the last show every year. So finding people that are routed on our very specific 7 days of the entire year sometimes gets tricky. When we do have our own venue, wherever that ends up being, whenever that ends up being,
so that's the dream. Is
to have a festival amphitheater somewhere. I always say the Gorge. Everybody tells me that's thinking a little bit too big, but I don't think so.
I used to go to Sasquatch every year at the
Mhm.
Gorge, and it was like
Absolutely.
my Disneyland.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So maybe like 6,000 to 10,000, not 22,000, but we'll scale it down a little bit. But to have a space like that where we could operate June through September and have that whole opportunity to have things anytime we need to.
Yeah.
We get that question a lot. Like, sorry, we can't do your dates. What's your availability in June? Say, 0 days. Sorry, maybe next year.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, so
some point down the road,
own venue is the
Own
dream
venue
and big.
Is
Okay.
the dream.
owning our own property that we can build that out. The long-term dream is to have that expand out into camping, trails, depending on where we are, partnering with people like KLT and connecting networks there, having spots that we could groom for Nordic skiing in the wintertime, and really coming up with a space that is multi-use year-round, and part of that would be the festival.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Gosh, I'm just thinking about that, and I'm like drooling. So what does it require at this point? You need the land to pop up. You need the more
100
donors.
acres and
You need
$30 million.
Yes,
if
please.
you know
If
anybody.
If
If you know
anyone
anybody
has
who-
that.
Yeah. And so is there actually like is that in the works? Like, is there a pot of money that is being put aside for that, or is there a committee dedicated to that? Or
we have kind of the starts of all of those things happening.
Okay.
I'm not sure. We haven't officially started a capital campaign.
No.
But we're looking at property all of the time. We went and toured one last week.
Okay, so this is real. This is really
So this
real.
is happening
Okay.
in real time.
Okay.
We're actively looking at spaces pretty much anywhere right now.
Yeah, if anyone has someone, this might be good, like we'll get it on the calendar, go take a look at it, see if it's the right fit. I mean, there are things, it's got to have the ingress and the egress and parking, and there
A
are
lot of check
some
box check,
specific some specific things we're looking for in that nature. But so if the right thing were to pop up, I mean, we could start making things happen. But right now it's still kind of a dream to have a home of our own.
Yeah, and to go back a little bit, how do you determine the lineup, or how do you go after those bands and those artists that are going to perform?
We worked with a talent buyer out of Oregon. He works down at the Brit Festival, and that was actually what the festival at Sandpoint was modeled after entirely when it started.
Okay.
They're, I think, on year 65 or 66 this year, and we're 42, 43.
43.
We're in our young 40s, early 40s. And they have a poster artist every year. They have their orchestra that does part of their orchestral season. They operate for several months. So they do 40-something shows usually.
Okay.
So they have a whole section midsummer where they have an orchestral season during their concert series. But we were modeled after that, and our talent buyer down there worked with us for a long time, especially when we were getting back on our feet after some major changes. And now we have an employee in-house that does our talent buying.
Okay.
So she joined us last June? I think it was the very beginning of June when she started with us. She was formerly an intern with the festival, moved to Nashville and worked with an artist management company, and on a whim we reached out and said, any chance you're thinking of moving back to the Pacific Northwest?
Yeah.
And weirdly enough, she was. So that just kind of lined up perfectly. And so now we have that all in-house, and we had our season booked earlier than ever, I think, this year.
Well, and it's sort of like you kind of know it when you see it, like the crowd that you're serving, the population that you're serving with the festival. Whenever I see the lineup, I'm like, yeah, this all like makes sense. But I don't know if do you have any actual like kind of formula? Like we always want one big throwback band, and we always want somebody that's a little newer.
I think
and
she has kind of.
We have like a wish list framework, and then different versions of the reality framework from that, depending on the year, depending on what's available. We like to have one of everything if we can.
Yeah.
Something new, something old. We will always have a classical show. We're always going to have a country show of some kind. When we can, we try and get a reggae or reggae-leaning act or two.
Okay, so it's a little bit of this, a little
bit of this, a little bit of that. And even for our limited dates, they go through more than 60 offers probably just to lock down 7 shows.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
The amount people don't know the amount of work that even
takes.
takes.
And sometimes those offers go on for days and weeks and months, and then nothing happens.
That's so annoying. So for volunteers, there's obviously volunteer opportunities to volunteer as kind of the labor during the festival itself, or the concert series itself. But what about those other programs? Like what kind of volunteer opportunities are there, if any, for any of the kind of the education or kind of the other supporting programs that you have?
Yeah, we haven't had a lot of volunteers in those yet as they've been growing, but that's a conversation we've been having. And we have some stricter rules when we have volunteers going into schools.
Sure.
But volunteers are always welcome for any of our programs.
Okay.
Absolutely. We have links on our website to sign up for volunteer positions. And that just gets you into our system. We get a notification if it's somebody brand new that signs up. And there you can check what you're interested in, if it's part of the concert series or otherwise throughout the year. So. Okay.
And are those volunteers, are you able to just source those volunteers like organically from people who sign up? Or are there certain like other nonprofits or groups that you work with? Like the Boy Scouts always sends a troop to help set up or whatever.
We've been pretty lucky that a lot of people want to be a part of the festival. They love the benefit of going to the show. And so it's not been a challenge to find volunteers, the 300 about that we need for the series.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they like the shirts that they get, that they get to stay and watch the concert. And so that's been pretty easy to source, I think. Our volunteer applications open in January.
Okay.
And you can go to our website and do a volunteer application. And then I think they stay open almost closer to the series until we get everybody kind of nailed down into their departments and what shifts do you want? And we have chairpersons that manage their specific section of volunteers. So we've been pretty lucky sourcing them that way.
Yeah, that's awesome. How old do you have to be to volunteer?
Depends on the department. If we have any volunteers, like in our bar, we have different rules, and if it's a chair rental or something. But we aim for 14 to 16.
Okay, that's awesome.
And we do have other opportunities for younger kids if people are interested. So we try not to turn anybody away. Cool. Absolutely.
Cool. Were you about to say something else before I
think I probably was, but now it's gone. Yeah. Who knows?
So we talked about you need $30 million. So whoever's listening and has that, please reach out. Volunteers are always needed and welcomed in various ways. What other needs, if any, do you have that you would like folks to know who might be listening?
Well, we're always looking for sponsors to help sponsor the show. I mean, it does take a considerable amount of, financial to get it off the ground. So we're always open for sponsors. We have different sponsor levels. You can be an advertising sponsor. You could be an experience sponsor. What's kind of unique about the festival from other nonprofits is that if you sponsor the festival, you get a ticket benefit to that. And then depending on the level of sponsorship that you give, you get more benefits. The more
so
money,
that's not
the more
normal?
benefits. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know.
I feel like for most nonprofits, I mean, you get the feel good when you donate to the Festival of Trees. Like you get a tree if you win the tree, and different things like that. So we're kind of unique in that. For us, sometimes it can be a challenge because people are used to getting something in return for their donation, if you will. So sponsors are always something that we're always looking for. You get a sponsorship, you get 2 seasons passes, get to go through the sponsor gate, get an early entry, things like that.
Okay.
Different levels get different benefits. Some people get a blanket placed right in front of the stage, and we'll put chairs out for you. And one of the things that's coming up next for us, starting in a couple of weeks, is our online auction. And that is a big fundraiser for us because it helps support our education programs. So we have about 20 packages that will be going live, and then our auction starts on May the 15th, and it runs until June the 2nd. And so you have an opportunity to bid on a season's pass or a parking spot. If you want a parking spot right up front, you can bid on a parking spot. There's VIP packages for each of the concerts. The VIP packages come with a blanket, 6 chairs. You get 2 bottles of wine. Every one of our 8 nights has a VIP package associated to that. We also have a case of wine that's going on our auction. We have a wellness package where you can go to Toasty Mobile Saunas and get a massage and kind of some different things to bid on to help.
Autographed guitar.
The autographed guitar from Jason Mraz.
Yeah.
We have a really cool guitar from Jason Mraz. We have a picture from Ross Hall that was donated that we do one every year, I think is the understanding. There's a lake cruise on Lake Pend Oreille from the Shawnee. So there's a lot of different opportunities for people to get involved with the festival and get something cool out of it.
Yeah.
So that'll be going live, I think it goes live on the 15th of May. So a fun way for people to be involved and to also help, but then to also get some kind of cool, fun stuff out of it.
Yeah, the things that the goodies that you can offer those sponsors are certainly different than what other nonprofits can give.
Right. We're really lucky in that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh, I feel like we've covered a lot. Is there anything that we're missing that you want to make sure people understand, or that you think people aren't understanding, that you want to clear up? But I think we've touched on the education component and all the awesome things that you're doing.
I think our other biggest
year-round.
challenge is just, the exact reason why we're here is getting the word out on all these other things that we do. And finding ways, and having something like this is a great way. Because we always joke when we're just goofing off in the office about having our own podcast, but this is the first time we've ever recorded anything.
Maybe it's time.
I know.
It's time
maybe
to
it's
make
time.
And we try to collaborate with as many other nonprofits as possible. Like this year at the festival, bike parking last year we found out was kind of an issue. Oh. And so people ride their bikes to the festival and they prop them up here, and then they go inside and do their thing, and they come out and it's like a dog pile of bikes. And where's my bike? And how do I get it out? There's 14 bikes on top of it. And so this year we partnered with Pend Oreille Peddlers, and they are doing sort of a bike valet for us. So you ride your bike in, you can talk to one of the Pend Oreille Peddlers volunteers that they'll have there, and they do sort of a valet system with your bike so that it's there, it's safe. When you come back out, you can get your bike. Right. It's not kind of a wait till this person comes out and hopefully they came out and remembered they rode their bike here. And so we try to partner with a lot of different organizations in town, just to sort of, share the I don't want to say knowledge, but so that we're all working together to kind of.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, what a fun, I don't think necessarily people would think, okay, if you're working with a nonprofit, I'm going to guess the Pend Oreille Peddlers are the ones but that happens to be one that you can work with. So it's really cool.
Right. And PAVE. And I think we try to have a lot of partnerships with a lot of other nonprofits in town.
Yeah, that's great. Wonderful. Well, folks should definitely check you out if they haven't already, and just see all the things that you're doing aside from an awesome concert series, which, to be honest, even if you weren't doing other things, the economic impact, the fun, the concert series would really be enough. You're going above and beyond.
All of our studies that we do of our economic impact is literally that chunk of time. The rest of our year, we don't have that impact. So it really is, that is the part that people know. That's the part people love. And it's a great way to get people in the door to getting some more of that information, literally in the door. At our office weekly, we have people come in like, I've never been in here. You guys are open? What other stuff do you do?
Yeah,
This is crazy. And I've got some instrument torn apart on the living room floor or something. What's that for? As we talk about our orchestra program. A lady that came in, I was repairing an upright bass, and she came in and learned about the program, came in the next day, became a sponsor, and donated $3,000 to our music programs.
Wow.
Just
Awesome.
because she was new in town, wanted to donate, happened to stop by our office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah.
Super
I think
cool.
the impact that you're having is felt and also unfelt. Some parts are
It's
felt.
a weird place to
some
be.
parts
Yeah.
aren't. But I think, I'm grateful that we have something like this. And I'm not from this area. I moved here a couple years ago. My mom's been here for about 10 years. And it was one of the first things that we wanted to do. And these are like some pretty big names that are coming to Sandpoint.
Bands that I know?
Yeah.
Gotta go to that.
Right. It was awesome and so special and unique. And I wish you well. And I hope that you get that amphitheater one day. And that would be so awesome.
So cool.
Yeah. So thank you for what you do. And yes, I'm going to, and we at the EnVision Center will help spread the word.
Well, thank you.
Awesome.
We
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been fun.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. For more information, you can go to crecIdaho.com. Please like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you again soon.